Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Jason White. This is Jason's Weird Reads, and today I've got a book haul for you. Now, I'm going to split this video up into three sections. The first being the physical books, second being ebooks, and the third being audiobooks. I buy all types of books, and I read all types of books. I've learned recently that my favorite format to read in is physical. There's just something that brings you a sense of joy when you're reading physical book. For some reason, but I still love reading ebooks, and I also love listening to audiobooks. So how about we get started with the physical books? I unboxed this on my wrap-up for the cryptid readathon, but I thought I would show it again because it was a gift from a friend of mine who I talk to on this channel all the time, author Daniel Brom. He sent this to me, and it's the Yetis Hand. This is a short story, maybe even a novelette, and it's only like 50 pages, I think, maybe less. Oh, it's only 24. Wow. Okay, so it's definitely a short story, but it was published in back in 1914 or something like that, and there's only 50 of these made, and it's signed. Oh, 75. There were 75 numbered copies. I got number 33 from Daniel's library, his own personal library. He sent this to me, which I thought was very kind of him to do. So thank you, Daniel. And I'm going to be reading this for the next cryptid readathon, which you'll probably see in November again. So look out for that. While I got like a gift card for Christmas, and so I thought I'd go to the bookstore, as you do, and I got a couple of books from that gift card. And the first one up here is a book I've been wanting to read for a long time, and that's The Devil Takes You Home by Gabino Iglesias. I haven't yet read anything except for maybe some short stories by Gabino, but I really want to change that, and I want to start with this book. I've heard a lot of great things about it. I know it's a revenge story, and there's some supernatural stuff that happens, so I'm very much looking forward to what this is. I know that it's also about a father who loses his daughter to cancer, and in order to pay for the bills of that, because he lost his job as well, probably while taking care of his daughter, he ends up taking a hitman job. I mean, you make a lot of money doing that. And so he takes this job doing that, and I think this story takes place like with the last job, and something goes terribly wrong with that last job. So I've been wanting to read this for a long time. I really like when horror stories collide with crime stories, and so it's going to be interesting to see how I feel about this book after I read it, which I hope to read it very soon. While I was there, I also picked up Don't Fear the Reaper by Stephen Graham Jones. I have to read this book in order to read the last book that's coming out in March. So I'm thinking of reading the whole trilogy together, all like one right after the other. So we'll see how that goes. But this is book 2 in the Indian Lake trilogy, I think it's called. The first book being My Heart is a Chainsaw, of course. So really looking forward to reading this. This one's pretty thick for Stephen Graham Jones. He usually writes shorter books, and man, the print is off. The print, I guess, isn't too bad. Kind of looked really bad in the end there, 'cause the acknowledgements has really small type setting for some reason, or a font. But it's still, this book's like 450 pages, so it's not exactly a book to fly through, especially given Stephen Graham Jones's sometimes difficult prose, but I'm still very much looking forward to it. And last up from that book haul at the bookstore, I said this year I want to fill in some of the gaps of my Stephen King reading, so that includes The Long Walk. I haven't read this yet. I don't know why. It's just one of those things that has escaped me, but I've been wanting to read it for a very long time. This was originally part of a collection of 4 novellas, I believe. 4 Past Midnight, maybe? I can't remember. But this is one that a lot of people love, especially here on BookTube. So I want to read it for myself. I know it's about like a game show where a bunch of kids are told to walk, and whoever wins, whoever is the last one standing, basically gets a. I don't know if they get like a lot of money. They get to live because all the other kids who stop or fall down get shot. So it's a crazy sort of you know. It's very much a crazy game show type story that Stephen King has written a couple of stories of. I think he kind of started that whole genre thing because there's some movies that came out in regards to like the Hunger Games, that type of thing. But I'm hoping to read this. Oh, it's writing as Richard Bachman, so that might be one of those. Collected in one of those books. I don't know. So The Long Walk by Stephen King has been long overdue, and I also want to read more Robbie Dorman. I've talked with Robbie Dorman on my channel, and I also did a video why you should read Robbie Dorman, and so I've read 3 of his books, and I'm hoping this one will be the 4th, and that's Underneath. Now, I don't know too much about this book, but I'm going to read you the synopsis here real quick. One thing I do know about this book is that this is Robbie Dorman's love letter to John Carpenter's The Thing. And just with that description right there, that sells me, because The Thing is one of my favorite movies ever. It's not just one of my favorite horror movies. It's just a crazy, crazy movie. And this is a love letter to that. You would think that I would have read this one first, but I didn't. I guess I was kind of savoring it. I'm hoping to read this now, and here's the synopsis. Mary Jensen, a trained medic, needs a new start, and she's getting one at Research Station Tau in remote Antarctica. Called in as an emergency replacement, Mary soon finds out that Tao's mission to find a lost elementary particle deep down in the ice. Dr. Ian Schuler, the station lead, thinks the particle is key to humanity's evolution. As they drill into the ice, complications arise, and Mary starts to worry about his sanity. As he pushes harder and harder for results, the group begins to fracture. And then the hallucinations start. Something is in the ice, and it's changing them. Now Mary must survive and face what's underneath. So this is I really like how Robbie Dorman formatted this book, because it feels like a paperback, and the font is just the perfect size. I could probably fly through this fairly quickly, and I'm hoping to read it before winter ends, because it's a very chilling book for many reasons. Alright, now we're going to move on to the ebooks. First up, I want to mention that I bought this book on sale. I think it was like 99 cents or something like that. I can't remember entirely, but that's Buried Women Speak by Mia Fowler. Now here is the synopsis for this book. Maggie survived attempted murder a decade ago. Her killer is dead, but true crime superfans have ruined Maggie's life. Moving to Briarwood Estate in rural New Hampshire, she was supposed to be a fresh start for Maggie and her wife, Wren. When Maggie and Wren start experiencing paranormal activity in estate, they struggle to find connections to one another. Maggie discovers she is clairvoyant and starts communicating with the ghosts of a young woman named Laura, whose murder in the estate remains unsolved. Maggie's own experience as a victim motivates her to bring Laura's killer to justice by being the voice that Laura never had. Struggling to maintain her sobriety and her marriage, Maggie must help Laura while discovering herself. If Maggie fails, she could lose everything: her wife, her sobriety, her life. So that sounds very interesting. She'll be a brand new author to me, and I hope I enjoy it, because then I'll probably read more. Alright, next up is The Beast You Are by Paul Tremblay. This is his second collection of short stories, and I haven't read the first one. In fact, I really need to catch up on my Paul Tremblay. I've only read one of his books, maybe a short story or two. So this is 15 pieces, or at least 15 short stories. They're all monsters of some kind, ready to loudly and lovingly smash through your head and into your heart. That's what the description says. You can go check out, there's more to the description. You can see what each story is slightly about, but I don't want this video to be like over a half hour. Alright, next up I have The Devil's Pocketbook by Ross Jeffrey. Now this came up on this came up as a sale too, just a little while ago, like 3 weeks ago. It was around Christmas time, I think, and it was like 99 cents as well. And Ross Jeffrey, he's interviewed authors on YouTube here. You might know him. The Devil's Pocketbook was fairly popular among other booktubers on booktube. Booktube. I think I was turning into a bird there or something. Alright, so here's the synopsis for The Devil's Pocketbook. Eric and Lara are in mourning for their daughter, who was born incompatible with life. To get away from their suffocating grief and the ever-present shadow their daughter has cast in their lives since passing, and desperately trying to recover their increasingly rocky relationship, they take a trip to the seaside town of Pulpero in Cornwall. But no sooner have they arrived than they realize that their grief cannot be so easily eluded. Drawn to the waters, Eric and Lara discover a large devil's pocketbook, and inside, the miracle child they could never have, Skyla. So this is definitely a book about grief. Grief horror is kind of a new concept, and I'm here for it. Alright, next up I have The Miracle Sin by Marcus Hawk. This book, this author I should say, I read his book and last year, Grey Noise, and I absolutely loved it. So here's the synopsis for The Miracle Sin. Now, this book is like 500 pages, where Grey Noise was only like 100 pages, so that's quite the difference. But let's see what this one is about. Have you wondered if there's more to life? If we are destined for something great? Part of a divine plan rather than just subjects of random chaos? Mason Cole has wondered these things, and he has the answer. No. How could that be when his parents were killed in an earthquake that destroyed the city of Jerusalem, yet he alone survived? How could he be destined for great things when he's stuck in a town-shaped rest stop where nothing he does makes a difference? And why would God do this to him in the first place? Then one day a stranger passes through town, bringing with him a unique explanation of his past, one he could never have imagined, and wishes he could forget. It sounds like something from one of his books, only this time it's happening to him. And it becomes clear that not every miracle is a blessing. Now, with the red-haired devil hell-bent on possessing him for his own sinister gains, Mason must discover the answer to these questions if he ever hopes to survive in a world where the dark no longer hides that which dwells within. Marcus Hawk, from that one novella that I read of his, can go into some pretty crazy territory, and this book sounds like he does that in spades. So I hope to read that very soon. Alright, now moving on to audiobooks. I buy audiobooks. I'm a member of Audible, and so of course I get the credit. Sometimes I buy more credits if I can, and I often take advantage of their exclusive free to members audiobooks. But I only have 2 here because I haven't been buying as many audiobooks lately. So there's 2 here that I really do want to get to soon. Ghost Eaters is up first by Clay McLeod Chapman. Here's the synopsis. Erin hasn't been able to set a single boundary with her charismatic but reckless college ex-boyfriend Silas. When he asks her to bail him out of rehab again, she knows she needs to cut him off. But days after he gets out, Silas turns up dead of an overdose in their hometown of Richmond, Virginia, and Erin's world falls apart. Then a friend tells her about Ghost, a new drug that allows users to see the dead. Want to get haunted? He asks. Grieving and desperate for closure with Silas, Erin agrees to a pill-popping seance, but the drug has unfathomable side effects, and once you take it, you can never go back. So this has an interesting idea that I've seen before, where a drug can do something supernatural to you. My friend Michael Schutz wrote a book very similar to this called Edging, and I actually me and my whole family make an appearance in that book, which was a bit of a surprise and kind of weird, but in a good way. Like, it's just weird seeing your name and your kid's name and your wife's name as people being trapped in a car. But anyways, that's besides the point. This is Ghost Eaters, and it sounds pretty awesome too. This book has made the rounds on both TikTok and booktube, and I've been wanting to read it ever since I heard about it. Come Closer is next by Sarah Gran. This one is another, I would say, like a booktube darling. I remember when I first started watching booktube videos and participating myself. A lot of people back then were talking about this book, and this book still comes up within, every so often. I mean, when I started, it seemed like everybody was talking about this book, Come Closer by Sarah Gran. And now, like I said, it still comes up. It's just not as often. But it went through that little popular phase, I guess you could call it. So here's the synopsis. A recurrent, unidentifiable noise in her apartment. A memo to her boss that's replaced by obscene insults. Amanda, a successful architect in a happy marriage, finds her life going off-kilter by degrees. She starts smoking again, and one night, for no reason, without even the knowledge that she's doing it, she burns her husband with a cigarette. At night, she dreams of a beautiful woman with pointed teeth on the shore of a blood-red sea. The new voice in Amanda's head, the one that tells her to steal things and talk to strange men in bars, is strange and frightening. And Amanda struggles to wrest back control of her life. Is she possessed by a demon, or is she simply insane? That's a damn good question. And it's one I want to explore. This book has been on my radar for far too long, and it's about time I read it. It's a fairly short book, too. It's I forget how long it is, but it's a novella, I believe, or at least a short novel. All right, last up, and I want to mention this as sort of a side thing, and one reason why I'm not going to read the synopsis for this is because I just started reading it, and it's part of a series, technically. I read Mr. Mercedes, and I absolutely forgot to mention the series, Mr. Mercedes, because the narrator really needs a shout-out. He really embodies Stephen King's voice. And his name is Will Patton. You might recognize him from The Mothman. He's an actor in The Mothman. He's been in a fair amount of other movies as well. But I went through all the it's a trilogy. I went through all those books during December, and I absolutely loved them. Will Patton blows this thing out of the water too. He makes it his own. He becomes the very voice of Bill Hodges. I always call it the Mr. Mercedes trilogy, but it's really the Bill Hodges trilogy. I gotta get my head around that. So, anyways, the books I should say here are The Outsider and Holly by Stephen King. Now, this is sort of like a side series because one of the main characters in the Bill Hodges trilogy is a woman by the name of Holly Gibney, and she has her own series now. I don't know how far it's going to go, and I want to read pretty much everything that's related to this. And so The Outsider is a continuation following Holly, and so is the book Holly, obviously. And I can't wait to listen further. I'm going to continue until I'm done. Now there's I think a novella in the novella collection If It Bleeds, I believe it's called. So I'm thinking of getting that collection too and listening to it, because it will A, fill in a gap that's missing, and B, it'll continue Holly's journey here. So I believe it's called If It Bleeds. It has that little cat on the cover. So I'm going to be getting that one as well. I'll probably get that one before listening to Holly, because I believe it's technically book 2. The whole thing actually might be a Holly book. I'm not too sure. So there is my my recent haul. I would have to say this haul takes place between probably October somewhere in late September, October to present day, and I hope you enjoyed watching these books I hauled in. A lot of them were from Christmas. So if you enjoyed this video, I keep saying a stack of books, but I can't think. Leave me some stars deep down there in the darkness, and I'll leave you some stars in return. Thank you for watching, my dear weird friends, and I'll catch you. Keep being safe, keep being creative, and I'll catch you guys in the next bookish video.